Hey, Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. On this channel, we talk about everything crowdfunding. How do you raise money? How do you smash your goal? How do you get products out there into the world? And also other types of crowdfunding, obviously like nonprofit crowdfunding, equity crowdfunding, all that kind of stuff. It's my passion, my love to share this with you. And today we're getting into some of the secrets, some of the stuff that no one else is talking about, they haven't told you any of this stuff. And I want to tell you guys that today. Okay, so what are some of those secrets, man? What are some of those secrets that no one else is telling you that I think is going to be super valuable for you going into any kind of product launch, but specifically, obviously, a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo campaign? These are some of the secrets to me that can make the difference between you being successful and like you not being successful. Maybe you crashing hard, and burning and wasting a lot of money, you know? So I don't think man, I hate the word trade secrets. I think that secrets are kind of meant to be revealed. I think a lot of people want to keep secrets from other people, but my entire life's work in terms of writing these books behind me, writing my blog, Crowd when I got started in 2012, doing my podcast, doing YouTube channels, doing my courses, all of this is meant to try to share that stuff with you. And the reason is that, man, I found it so frustrating in my own life when people just don't tell me like it is. Like, just tell me like it is. Why do you have to use this big jargon and use this like weird corporate personality and just kind of hide the process of understanding how this business works, right? And it was so liberating to me whenever I come across someone who just is willing to share that kind of stuff. And that's kind of me paying homage, I guess you can say, or good karma, putting good karma into the universe to help you with this launch. So the first secret that I want to share with you actually goes back to my university days. So I went to school at George Washington University. I declared my major like last year of college or whatever, where I did an econ major, but I actually ended up loving it. I actually love econ. And I did this logistic regression, which is like an analysis essentially, looking at the variables that affect success on Kickstarter. And to be honest, the reason was I wanted to do it on equity crowdfunding with the Jobs Act happening in 2012, but I couldn't get enough data on this. And it also was super slowed up with Congress and all that stuff. Finally, they got around to it like years and years later. Now it's finally going into effect, right? But slow government processes. But that being said, so I was doing a logistic regression and I was looking at the different variables that affect success. So for example, the social network of the person, the length of the video, the updates that they do, all that kind of stuff. And I was trying to build off of the research of Ethan Mollick, who's actually one of the researchers in the early days who kind of got started in this industry. And what my analysis found out, and I'm gonna be honest with you, like, I'm not saying this is scholarly or credit worthy at all. This is a paper that I had to do, but I actually really did love doing it. So this analysis basically found out that based on the category you're launching in, the categories that affect success are different. The variables that affect success in that category are different from category to category. What does that mean? That means that, for example, in the dance category, in the film theater category, the ones that are a little bit more creative, the social network of the individual tended to matter more than when they were in the hardware, tech, or design categories. And I did this whole paper and like looked at all the different ones and wrote this whole analysis, but lo and behold, the one thing you should take away is that Kickstarter isn't like some big community that just works and all the principles are the same. The secret, my friend, the secret is that every category is different. Every category is different, and you should be trying to rank well in your category, and it'd be great if you also rank well in the rest of the site. But every category is different in terms of the marketing, in terms of the variables that affect success, in terms of the logistics and shipping out those products, in terms of the ROI of doing the campaign itself, and also the best practices. Like obviously stretch goals are way more popular in the tabletop game category than some of the other categories out there, and also other things like add-ons, right? And the way you collect shipping. So this is going to vary from category to category. And that is my first secret for you, is stop looking at Kickstarter as like just one big marketplace. Look at it as a bunch of little different individual communities, and that will help you understand the process so much easier. The second secret that I want to share with you, man, is to think of the launch a little bit differently. So like a lot of times when you think of like a Kickstarter launch, it's like, okay, I launched on Kickstarter, right? That was cool. But when you actually are going through the process, and you can listen to some of the the interviews on my podcast, right? You can listen to the guests that I have on and they'll tell you the same stuff. Or I'm usually trying to like decode it a bit and get them to say actually what they're trying to say, trying to get around just describing it and really just say what it is. But at the end of the day, they're going to tell you this. There are different stages to a launch, okay? So it's not just like a go from 0 to 60 miles per hour and then I go down the highway. It's not like that. It's more of like, I'm gonna first turn on the car, get it going, go through the suburban, different windy streets, then get on the on-ramp to the highway, then go on the highway, and then I'm going like light speed, then maybe I have to slow down or go around traffic, right? There are a lot of events that happen in that way. It's not just a 0 to 60 launch and that's it. It's not like a binary thing. Instead, I like to compare it more a little bit to like a rocket ship taking off. So a rocket ship taking off, I've never obviously had a rocket ship take off, though when I was younger, I loved to shoot up those rocket ships that, I don't know, had those little cartons that you would light up and they go right in the air. Like that was really cool. But it's more like that. So when you have a rocket taking off, you obviously have the launch pad. You have the fuel that's going in the thing. It's going to go through different stages as it's exiting the atmosphere, then eventually gets into outer space. Then certain parts of the rocket are no longer used, right? And then maybe it goes to the moon or Mars if you're crazy like Elon Musk, right? You want to think of it more like that. And here's why. Because first of all, you have the pre-launch stage. During the pre-launch stage of launching a new campaign, you might be doing things like gathering user testing, also building up social media presence, building up your audience ahead of time, even getting solidity on certain questions related to the product. There are all these different things that are happening in the pre-launch stage. Then you go live. Then you have your first period when you're live, which is usually around the 4 to 5 day mark. I've seen it maybe last as long as 7 days. On the short side, I've seen it last as long as like 2 days, where you have that new novelness with a campaign where people are supporting it just because it is new and it is exciting. Then you go through what I call the Kickstarter slump of death, right? Which is that staggering middle period where it's usually harder to maintain momentum. And even within that period, you might be doing certain things, and there are videos that I have out there on exactly that, right? Then, of course, you get to the end where there's a lot of urgency and an urgency factor that comes into play, where people are taking action because this thing is going to go away soon. There are different techniques you can apply there. And then also post-Kickstarter, where that's using like a survey or fulfillment tool, transitioning to e-commerce like Shopify, or going into Indiegogo in demand, right? So you want to stop thinking of this as just A/B binary launch 0 to 60, right? Think of it more as like stages. You're going through this process, okay? You can walk through this process with a coach like me. You can walk through it and you can hire an agency. That's also something I do on a very limited basis with some projects, right? There are different things and different ways in which you can get through this, but you should be aware of it, because when you skip one of those stages, it's almost like you're trying to go up into space, but the rocket doesn't detach. And now it's like this awkward thing in space. And you're like, oh crap, I didn't plan for that. Or oh my gosh, I didn't plan for that, right? In the same way, like you'll maybe enter the middle stage of the campaign and you're like, why is everything slowing down, man? Like what is happening? I feel like I'm in free fall. What, right? So there's this lapse of momentum. You should plan for that. So that's my next tip or my next secret for you. My next bit of advice is a little bit counterintuitive, or I guess the word would be, you wouldn't think of it that way. But a lot of the times when I meet a beginning creator, you can call them a creator, an entrepreneur, a founder, a designer, whatever it is. There's always this kind of desire, and I find this to be common with a lot of people that just want to do good in the world. They want to please a lot of people. They want to make a lot of people happy, right? And the secret here is that it might seem like something is for everyone, and it's usually sometimes even marketed that way, like, oh, this gym is for anyone, or this at-home gym device is for anyone, right? Or this skillet can be used by an amateur or a professional cook, used by anyone, right? In reality, behind the scenes, there are many teams of people that are talking about who is the ideal customer, right? So niche is actually better than just an amorphous blob, large product that's like supposed to be for everyone, that's trying to please everyone with all of this functionality that doesn't make sense and doesn't really fit together. And this campaign that has so many rewards and so many add-ons, so many everything, it's a nightmare, right? So there's a saying that the niches or the niches are in the riches, okay? Or the riches are in the niches. Sorry, I totally got that backwards. The riches are in the niches, right? What that means is that the more niche you can make a campaign, and as long as there is a market for it, it's actually more easy to market it, and it's actually gonna do better because there's just a built-in community, my friend. Does that make sense? So that's another secret, is that when you see these campaigns that seem like they're for everyone, trust me, behind closed doors, they're talking about who exactly this is for. The next secret that I gotta get off my chest, gotta share this secret with you, right? The next secret is, again, a lot of times I think it's just when you don't have a lot of experience, right? When there's not a lot of experience in the way of like how the world works, how internet marketing works, how business works, this tends to come into play. A lot of people will see these mega raises, like this guy raised $1 million or raised 6 figures, high 6 figures. And they're like, that's insane. This one person did all of that, right? And some of you might be more experienced in the audience. You might be like chuckling to yourself, right? But I'll be honest, like I thought that way when I was a lot younger, is like, wow, this person put together this product, right? But then you think about it and you realize that like every single product that you see around you, right? So I got like these little earphones I needed for my jack into my podcasting thing. That was made not by one person, but by teams of people. Every great product has teams of people behind it, and you're just not seeing them. And the reason why a product almost seems like alien, like did a human being actually make this thing? Like this microphone, how did a person make that, This Sennheiser wireless microphone, how did one person get so smart that they could make this? And like, I could never do that. Of course not, because one person didn't do it, man. A bunch of people put their brain power to use with different skill sets. So just thinking about like this microphone, right? Like electrical engineering, the plastic design, the look and the feel, the way that it works with the receiver, right? And also just the way that it picks up your voice, etc. There are so many different micro disciplines that are a part of this product. The same thing goes with these mega campaigns, is that more often than not, it's not just one individual. Like there might be one person who's spearheading the initiative, but they might have a team of people when it comes to the artists, when it comes to the marketer, when it comes to the coach that they're working with. There's a bunch of different people behind the scenes that you're just not seeing. And actually, I think it's liberating, quite frankly, because if you do compare yourself to a mega campaign and you're like, I could never do that. Well, yeah, you couldn't, because you're just one person. But if you then start to think about, okay, how could I assemble the people that I need in order to pull this off? Then it's like, okay, there's actually a path to success here. Like if I assemble these different pieces and I get this, and this together, I could maybe do that. Then it's like, oh, okay, like light bulb moment. It is possible. This next secret, man, it takes a while, I think a lot of the times if you're new to e-commerce to kind of get this, but it can make the difference, man, between you having a mega success and you just kind of petering by. So listen up to this one. This next secret has to do with the type of buyer who is on Kickstarter, okay? So Kickstarter is very different from just buying a product on Amazon. It's very different from buying just a product on eBay or Etsy or any of these sites that you might know. Why is it different? Because when someone is backing a campaign, even the terminology is different, right? When someone's backing a campaign or pledging money to a creator, they're going through different decisions and thoughts in their head that are different from just clicking a one-click purchase on Amazon. And also, the expectations are completely different, right? So with a Kickstarter, you're backing it, you don't know if it's going to be funded or not successfully. You don't know when it's going to deliver necessarily. And you're also paying attention to the story itself as the product is being created and going from idea into a real world thing or a real world application, right? When it comes to Amazon, you're more of just like picking what you want, putting it in your shopping cart, and then it arrives, right? You're not even thinking so much necessarily about the actual company or the brand until maybe you, or unless you're like really enthusiastic about like camera brands, obviously that may make sense. But it's just like an everyday kind of product, you might not even think or look at the brand. It's only once you have a really good experience. Like I bought these really great Bluetooth speakers recently, and I was like surprised. I was like, this is actually really good. I was curious about the brand. So a lot of the times with an e-commerce product, brand comes more into play if it's a super high-end purchase and you are researching good quality. If you do have a good experience with a product and you're like, I want more ones like this, right? Or you buy a product like clothing, for example, from H&M, and I really like H&M, so like I'm gonna go back to H&M. That's when it comes more into play. When it comes to Kickstarter, it's different because people aren't, it's a new brand, it's a completely new thing. So they're relying on different information in order to make that purchasing decision. And in addition, there is that built-in ability to grow a brand from nothing, right? Because people that are backing it get the product on their front door, they can then use it, they can spread the word about it via Instagram, social media, and boom, you got a brand literally overnight that you launch. You have people Googling your name, you have people searching you up online. It is freaking exciting. Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillrite is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillrite today. Link in the description. Okay. Last one, last secret, last thing I'm going to share. Okay, I don't want to disrupt too many people in the industry, right? Don't want to share too much. But the one thing, gotta obviously leave some for the coaching calls, man, right? One thing I'd love to share with you when it comes to this video, this is the last thing that I want to talk about, actually has to do with like success, okay? And I think that this is important because, you know, at the end of the day, success means different things to you. It could mean financial success. It could mean feeling just really good about what you're doing, right? Impact in the world. It could mean creating something new. It could mean having the resources to be able to do new projects. There's so many different ways in which you can categorize success personally. But when it comes to doing a campaign, I will tell you this. There is a way to engineer success. Now, why do I use that word like engineer? Engineer, I think, is about thinking about blueprints, thinking about something before it comes into reality, right? And then when you engineer it, when you actually go through the work of actually making the thing, it pops out and it looks the way the blueprints do, or it looks the way you thought. As long as you have your measurements right, you have everything, you might have to go through a few iterations, but there's a way to engineer a product, right? If you get my drift. There's also a way to engineer a successful campaign. Now that's kind of what I've spent so much of my time in my life trying to teach, is how to do that. So there are many resources out there. For example, I have a free course that walks you through step-by-step how to do one of these campaigns. I got my book out there, the Kickstarter Launch Formula. You can download an Audible version. I also got some courses that are out there. A lot of great stuff. You can always book calls with me, like all this kind of stuff. But the one thing that you should take away is that this is possible. And the more you can spend the time learning the process, the more you can spend attention learning the process, I can tell you all, the better off you're gonna be. And here's why. If you were trying to win a game, what's a game you like to play? You know, you can think about that. What's a game that you like to play? One of my favorite games that I would play with my uncle when he was alive was chess. And the reason is that I guess I always just like saw something interesting and ornate with chess. It always seemed like a very cerebral, philosophical kind of game in some ways. And my uncle was just like super good at it. He's a super smart guy, right? So I'd always play chess with him and he would always beat me. And I got to a point where I got so frustrated and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna figure out this game. I'm gonna figure out how to win. So what's the first thing I did, right? Well, I could keep continuing to play the game, and like incrementally, right? I might get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. The way to fast track that is to learn the strategy of how to play the game, right? So I started to read books about chess. I started to learn about gameplay. I started to learn about different defensive maneuvers and offensive maneuvers. I started to even go to the local chess club. And I wasn't even like that much of a nerd back then. I was playing sports and I was going to the chess club, right? Which was like social suicide for me back in the day, but I loved to do it. And I started to learn the strategy of the game of chess. And lo and behold, sat down with my uncle one Christmas, and you got the fire there, you know, got the crackling wood, I got my hot chocolate, right? And we're playing the game, and like lo and behold, like for the first time in my life, I beat him, right? And it was so gratifying. And it was actually a lot easier than I thought it was. And I started to think to myself, like, why is that? You know, why is it so easy now to win the game of chess? And it's because I understood the strategy, right? I understood what went into how the pieces move. And when this happens, I do this, right? And the process and the way that a game plays. So the more you can understand the process of launching a campaign, the more successful you will be. I hope that I leave you at least with that message. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Come subscribe if you want more content like this. Leave a comment down below. I'll try to get to it. I'm super overwhelmed these days, but I do love reading the comments when I get a chance. Thank you so much. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Go and check out some of the other videos I got out there, and I'll see you next time.